Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada, and you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. And today I wanted to show you how I made the diagonal joyfold card that I shared on my blog. And first of all, it's one of the new suites from the current or the brand new Stampin' Up! Catalog. It is current, but it launched today. So I am using the Countryside Inn suite with this. It's so pretty in all of the different blues, as well as the Lasting Joy stamp set that kind of coordinates, I'm going to say not coordinates with it, but gives you lots of sentiments. There are no sentiments in the bundle that comes in this suite. So the Lasting Joy stamp set gives you all sorts of options for sentiments and some really lovely ones. So let me switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. So this was the card that I shared on my blog. I'm going to use a little bit different, and I realized I have forgotten the embossing folder that I'm going to quickly grab. But this is the Joyfold card. So if you remember, Joyfolds kind of open up. They open out one way and then the other way. This is a diagonal Joyfold card. So I've cut this on the diagonal and then this flips over top of it. Now I've embossed this front in Misty Moonlight using the Country Blossoms embossing folder. This is the Pretty Designer Series paper, two different patterns. And then this is one of the new in color ribbons. This is the boho blue in color ribbon. So I've used boho blue in color dots and then the boho blue ribbon. All right, I'm going to quickly grab that embossing folder and then we'll get started. I never seem to remember everything. So this is the Countryside Corners stamp set. So it's actually, I'm going to call it a background stamp. So all of them are on one piece, and then you can cut them out using all of these dies. I'm only going to use this little die here. So I'm going to use that kind of inner border, and we'll stamp the sentiment in it, and then we'll cut it out using that label. And then this is the Lasting Joy stamp set. So like I said, lots of different stamps that you can use and combine, as well as some pretty little flowers. And I'm going to use the Thinking of You. This is a photopolymer stamp, so it makes it really easy to stamp these sentiments. And then the last thing that I'm using from this suite. So the suite includes the Countryside Corners bundle, as well as the gorgeous Designer Series paper that I'll show you in just a minute, and this embossing folder. And it's called, I believe, Country Blossoms or Countryside Blossoms. And you might be able to see this a little better, but there is that really pretty subtle pattern. And the cool part is this particular piece. So this is the Designer Series paper. I have two pieces of it. It's just so gorgeous in all the different blues. That's one side, and then stripes. And then this piece, and then kind of stripes with dots. Now this particular piece, you can actually fit into this embossing folder, going the right way, and emboss, because this is the same image as what's on this Designer Series paper. So it's kind of cool that way. So if you kind of just line it up, now I haven't cut a piece that's the right size, but just, you can very easily line this up if you wanted to do that. I'm not going to do that today, but I wanted to show you how cool that is. All right, let's bring in all of my supplies and then we'll get going. So I've got a piece of, this is Misty Moonlight. Now, Misty Moonlight is one of the new colors coming back. It's actually not a new color. We had it before, but they brought it back. We all love Misty Moonlight. So this is 4 1/4 by 11. So we're going to score this at 5 1/2. And then what we're going to do is we want to cut this on the diagonal from that middle score mark down to the bottom right corner. So I'm just going to open that up, put the score line right in the track, the corner in the track, and then we will just cut that diagonal piece off, which leaves us with our main card base on the diagonal. While we're at it, this piece of designer series paper I cut to be 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I want it to go on here. So I'm going to cut it on the diagonal as well. So from corner to corner on the diagonal. So we'll just take that and then save that piece for another card. And then I think I've got everything cut that I need. Okay, so let's grab our bone folder and give this card base a really good burnish. As always, doesn't matter what kind of shape your card is, you always fold into the mountain or the raised line. And then this piece of designer series paper can just be adhered on to our card front. And you could use any of the designer series paper that's in the package. There's so many. They're so pretty. Oops, I'm going to get closer to the edge here. There we go. Otherwise that corner will start to lift. Okay, let's see. A little easier to see if I have it open like that. There we go. So that's the front of our card. Now what we're going to do is I've cut a piece of designer series paper, and I'm going to use this stripe. It's a little different than my original. So this piece is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4. We're going to adhere on the inside of the card. There we go. All right, there's our card base. Not so hard so far. Okay, I've got another piece of Misty Moonlight, and I've cut this. Just want to make sure I've got it. I've cut it 4 1/4 by 7. Yes. So we're going to take and score this in half at 3 1/2. Score. And then I'm going to take and put this in to the embossing folder, and I'm only going to put the embossing folder up to that score line, or just maybe just below the score line. There we go. And then I'm going to emboss this, grabbing my plates, bring my machine in. Now this embossing folder needs to go into the regular size machine. So with an embossing folder, you use platform number 1 and then the 2 cutting plates. This is not a 3D embossing folder. It's one of the little thin ones. And so we're just going to run this through like that. So I'm only embossing half of my cardstock, what will be the front of my card. Put my machine away. And you end up with this gorgeous pattern. It's just so pretty. So now we can take and fold this in half. And you can burnish it gently because you don't want to. I'm going to burnish it on the back. You don't want to rub the pattern off. And I didn't get that very straight. So let's see if we can get that a little bit straighter. Probably should have done that before. There we go. I had embossed it. Now you could, if you've got what's it called? Can't remember if it's called the trio punch. Anyway, we do have a punch that would cut those corners. You could cut the corners if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave them straight. And so I'm going to adhere this piece on to. Now what I want to do is I'm going to slip the front onto in front of my diagonal piece, and then I'm going to slide it because you will find that you can only push it so far on, and I kind of want to get it lined up. There we go. So now we've got our front flap, diagonal, and then the top flap that comes down like that. So now we can just do some decorating. This piece needs to be trimmed. So the piece for the inside of this card, if I get my ruler, I believe should be 3 1/4 by 4. And I don't know what I've got this to be. So I've got it that way is correct. I'm not cut very straight, but let's see. Okay, so there's the 4. So this one should be, yes, okay, there we go. So 3 1/4 by 4 is the size of the basic white for the inside. And what we'll do is we're going to do just a little bit of stamping. We're going to stamp one of those flowers from the Lasting Joy. So we're just going to stamp that. So I'm going to stamp off. I'm going to use Misty Moonlight. I'm going to stamp off because it's very dark. So we'll stamp off, and I'm just going to stamp that in the corner. And then we'll stamp full strength using the little circle, just so that there's something on the inside of the card. Okay, so while we've got our ink out, okay, what I want to do is I'm going to grab, so this, I don't want to do the whole piece. So I am going to ink up my corner, what's it called? Countryside Corners. And then I'm going to lay my piece of basic white onto it, hopefully in the middle, and then just rub down. And I've got a whole, I didn't waste too much because all I'm going to do is cut out the middle. So while I have my ink, I'm going to stamp Thinking of You right in the middle like that. Now I can close my ink and I can grab my little die. I love this shape of dies. We haven't had this for a while, so it's kind of nice. And you can do all sorts of really cool things. So I'm just going to take that and put that on there. A little piece of Post-it note tape or washi tape or a Post-it note, whatever you want to hold it in, or maybe you're really good at cutting. I'm not so good at having the dies not shift, so I use Post-it note tape. So we're just going to cut our label, sentiment label out. Save that. Back. So now we've got our label with the Thinking of You and the little border around it. Oops, wrong one. This one. Okay, so we can adhere this into the inside of our card. Did it go in the right way? You could do the flower on the other side if you want. I often do it on the bottom right. I'm not sure why it's bottom left on this one, but it seems to be. Okay, so we're just going to put that down in the corner, and I'm going to use dimensionals. Just stagger the dimensionals a little bit because this is a little bit wide, and always put one in the middle so you don't get your sentiment sagging in the middle and kind of not wobbling side to side. That always bothers me. All right, putting that just down in the bottom right. This is the boho blue textured ribbon. This textured ribbon comes in all of the new in colors. It's going to take some time to get great bows for me out of this. It's a little thick. It's not stiff. It's nice and soft, but it's a little thick. So I'm struggling a little bit with my bows. So we're going to try and see if we can tie a nice little bow. I got one done on the other card. I'm not sure. Now I'm going to take these are the tweezers from the Embossing Editions kit. So just take them and put on the middle. That allows you to kind of focus on your bow. And I always turn my card upside down when I'm tying a bow, where I want the tails to go in a specific direction. So I can kind of keep them going in the direction, pointing in the direction I want them to go in. Okay, and then once you've got it mostly tied, you can take your tweezers out. And now I just want to take and get my bow just a little thinner. So it is quite a thick ribbon, like I said, so you do have to fuss a little bit with it, but it's just so pretty. I love this boho blue. color. This is one of the new in colors. I'll just kind of pull this a little bit if I can. There we go. So it's a little bit more, and I'm going to use a glue dot. Sometimes a glue dot will just hold that bow in place. Get a glue dot and just put it underneath the bow, and then you can kind of fuss with it. It's not so bad once it stops flipping around. All right, I'll go twist your tails. Get them behaving. There we go. It does fray. I find if you pull on it, the ends will fray. So I'm just going to trim that fray off. There we go. Okay, and then the last thing I want to do is, I almost used all of the boho blue. Can you tell what my favorite color is? Boho blue and misty moonlight. So these are the in color dots. So these are the new in color dots. And so I'm just going to take and put one of each. They come in 3 different sizes. So we'll take one, put one of each of the different sizes. And then they come in all of the 5 in colors. They're so pretty. Okay, there we go. There is our diagonal joy fold card. Pretty easy to make. Joy folds are easy to make, and they're really pretty. Now I'm going to probably take and use my bone folder again to make the top flap lay flat a little bit more than it is. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, just leave a comment underneath this video, or if you find your way out to my blog, and the link to my blog is under the video. So if you find your way out there, you'll find all of the written instructions, measurements, and supply list for this card, and you can leave a comment under there. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you get notified when I go live or when I post a video. Or if you found your way over to my blog, you can subscribe to my newsletter and get all the updates from Stampin' Up! And with Stamping with Melva. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Hope you have a great day. Happy stamping.